Hello and thanks for checking out TheChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hello, Canadian MJ friends. So a big profit-taking day today. We saw a sell the news type move the day before. And again, that's because the market is smart. People know when things are coming, when things are happening. And with that gap up open, we knew we were extremely overextended. I personally sold all of my swing position pre-market. I love starting the day with a fresh, clean slate. That's what I did. And I'll go over the CGC play-by-play a little bit here, and then we'll go into the major names. I will do a small cap video and other names. Try to do that Thursday or Friday. Otherwise, I don't have time. So what we saw on CGC, we were watching the shorter term time frames once the pre-market session was going, and we were watching a key support level. The most important support level for me was 58.41. That was the low of consolidation pre-market. I sold most of my position in the upper $58 range. And then once 58.41 broke right at the open, we said, okay, that's bear signal number one. So we're seeing profit taking now. The low pre-market has broken. I made an initial bull flip as soon as $58 broke. I bought in. I sold at $59, a nice dollar move, and then back to all cash. As soon as we broke to a new low of the day from there, again, another red flag for the bulls. It's a lower high and a lower low, confirming that we are in a downtrend and confirming that we're seeing profit taking. From there, we had another weak bounce attempt, another little dip, and then an all-out dump on increasing bear volume. Things got pretty brutal here to the downside, and it was very easy to give back swing gains on this pullback. And I did end up getting a loss on a bounce attempt on this play, where I bought into a position and then I would sell a little bit and I'd sell some at break even and then reload cheaper. I did a lot of actively managing on this dump, and then I sold on this bounce, but I ended up with a small loss. So it didn't give back anywhere near as much of the profit for the gap up open, and it was soften the blow, the fact that I did nail that first initial bounce attempt. But other than that, that told me, all right, sit on your hands now. Don't overtrade. Don't give back your profits that you have from yesterday and now the gap up open, just adding to it today, and be very patient. So from there, we knew we were extended to the downside, obviously. The 5-minute RSI was at extreme levels. The 15-minute RSI was down in the teens for oversold. So the 5-minute and the 15-minute were extremely overextended. We had inside bars. Look at these 15-minute inside bars giving signals. 15-minute inside bar bull break was at 53.40, and we ran up to 55. Inside bar bear break was at 53.90, and we dumped to 52.61. So it ended up being a tightening range that did give us a bull break towards the end of the day, but the entire MJ market saw profit taking for the final hour, hour and a half of the day, and that is definitely, right now here I'm looking after hours, we're seeing a small upside move from where we closed on TLRY and CGC, and Cron is a little bit lower. Bottom line is, it was a solid enough bounce to cool off the RSI levels on all short-term time frames, but we're seeing a bit of weakness. I would not be surprised to see a higher open tomorrow, and I did enter a position at the end of the day to give myself the possibility to swing it, but I just locked in that profit again and just said, you know, I'm not giving back these gains. I'll take it with a fresh, clean slate. But the setup here with all this profit taking from the bounce into the end of the day, and knowing that we're going to see headlines tomorrow and knowing it's going to be on the news, I would not be surprised to see a higher open tomorrow in response to that. So for CGC, the most important support levels are 52.61 and 52.84. So we do have an hourly higher low pattern to be watching, and the most important resistance is 55.44. So we'll see where these levels stand, where we stand pre-market tomorrow. And again, right now we're up 1% after hours. That could expand a little bit depending, but these are the most important levels that I'm watching. Can the bulls keep the hourly uptrend alive and continue to recover, or do we lose the hourly uptrend and head back down to the low of the dump, 51.26? The daily uptrend remains intact as long as 46.52 holds. So as I said, a sell the news reaction, we're still going to be holding the daily uptrend. There's no long-term concerns, and at this point, we would have to see just a complete meltdown and another 10% plus dump in order to lose the daily uptrend. I do not foresee that happening in the short term, But if we lose the hourly uptrend, that will keep us cautious as bulls, and that will have us take a step back and say, all right, let's see how much downside and how much profit taking we see now that October 17th is behind us. So those are the hourly supports we're watching on CGC. ACB, same thing, gap up, climax. And let's just go to CGC for a second. Look at the daily chart. Look at the gap up to all-time highs after a huge bull day, significant profit taking. Gap up to all-time highs, or actually it wasn't the all-time high we just rejected, but significant profit taking. So these high gap up opens are usually for selling. I can see on this chart right now at least 4 or 5 distinct gap up opens that led to significant pullbacks after that. So just keep that general rule of thumb mindset. Gap ups are for selling, gap downs are for buying. Again, it varies on a case-to-case basis, but that is a rule of thumb. What also stood out to me, which I didn't recognize until in hindsight, look where we bounced from the low of today, 51.26. What is so significant about that level? Remember the video 2 days ago over the weekend where I said the bull's ideal scenario is to break all these key resistances, and the resistance level to break was 51.21. And we pulled back and held that previous resistance, now support, by 5 cents, and had a very significant bounce off that level. That's not a coincidence in my opinion. In my opinion, there were a bunch of bids that were stacked at that level and they got filled, and that's what shifted the tide and got the bounce finally going. So interesting to note that previous level coming back into play, and we're certainly going to be watching it going forward as that 51.26 level is an important short-term support. So ACB had a weaker close. It faded with just lower highs and lower lows from its top of the bounce. So we had our high, low of the dump, inside bar, bull break occurred. Didn't get much follow through. This is the 15-minute chart. We had an equilibrium to be watching at that point with our high, low, lower high, higher low, lower high at 1454. And we didn't form a higher low. We broke support. So support of 1417, or actually it's 1406 broke. And right now we're looking at 1402, 1390, and 1365 as supports. Resistance is 1454 and 1496. So 2 very important support or resistance levels, a couple support levels, and we're going to have to see tomorrow which ends up breaking first. So let us know, is the bounce following through, or are the bears not done yet and we're still seeing profit taking? Cron, huge volatility. So again, in the video yesterday, I said it's pretty much like a leveraged version of CGC in the sense that it will mimic CGC and correlate with it, but it's going to see more significant bull moves and bear moves in both directions. So on the 15-minute time frame, the bounce, inside bar, bull break at 11:56, followed through all the way up to 12:24. Significant move, and Cron held up the best on this pullback out of these major names. High, low, lower high, higher low, and we ended up rejecting from 12:04. We broke a resistance level of 11.95, did not get much follow through, and then pulled back, but we're holding 11.31 with a double bottom. So 11.31 and 11.32 are key supports, and 10.95 comes after that. Key resistance is 12.04 and then up to 12.24 after that. So again, everybody pretty much has 2 clear resistances, 2 or 3 clear supports, and those are the levels that we're watching into tomorrow, and bulls are hoping for a higher open. Again, would not be surprised at all to see that happen. The question is, does the higher open break these resistances, or do we open higher and reject from these resistances and then pull back a bit? Just double checking CGC, the level that the bulls had to break, 55.44. That's $2 away from where we stand right now. So not expecting that level to break with pre-market action or after hours action. TLRY, we did break 173.46, but it was on a gap up that was straight into profit taking. The 15-minute time frame did not get a significant bounce. We had the low, high of the bounce, higher low, lower high, higher low. So a bull break. There were fake outs on the bull break, but look at resistance of 162.90. That did not break by 50 cents. So we broke one resistance level here, but we did not get the confirmation and follow through by breaking the second level. We then came down and broke support at the end of the day by breaking 158.88 here. So 154.50 and 151.26 are our supports. 162.40 and 162.90 are clear resistances. If the bulls can break 162.90, there's space to the upside. And of course, if we break support, there's space to the downside. So 15-minute time frame allows us to pick out these levels, multiple support, multiple resistance levels, to prepare for tomorrow and be watching which direction are we going to see the break occur. APH did get a bull break over 2070, but obviously that did not last long. A significant pullback, breaking a bunch of support levels on the daily time frame. And the difference between APH and everybody else, TLRY, let's just go through it. Did not break one support on the daily chart. Did not break the low of yesterday. Cron did not break any supports on the daily, and neither did ACB. We did break the low yesterday, but still a higher low pattern. And CGC, still a higher low pattern as well. APH broke the lows of the last 3 days in a row. So it is a different setup. Again, we are coming from a different standpoint on APH than on these other individual names. The 15-minute time frame, the bounce was a bit weaker in the sense that we faded all the way back. It was a solid bounce, but we faded all the way back almost to the low and then tried to recover a bit. Key support is down at 1866 and 1865, a little double low. 1850 and then 1830. The most important resistances are 1929 and 1967. And CGC is still seeing bullish action here after hours. We're now up with a bid of 53.62, still moving around a bit. So let's see if this news coverage tomorrow morning gets us a little hype, but just be cautious buying into a higher open, especially if there's still resistances right nearby. So APH, if we see weakness from here, the daily higher low that needs to be maintained is 1593. So while we did break daily support levels, we did not lose the daily uptrend, as the last clear higher low is all the way down at 1593. So the bottom line is Canadian MJ still has daily uptrends well intact. We have news coverage coming tomorrow. The question is, can that news coverage and potentially any news releases by these companies lift this clear shift in momentum and have some bounce follow through? We have key resistances to be watching, key supports to be watching. I would not be surprised at all to see daily inside bars form tomorrow, and that's because our daily ranges today are so large, and we could easily stay within those ranges tomorrow. So that's what I'm watching on the major names, some of the smaller names doing their own thing and breaking correlations to a certain degree, but there are too many names to cover in one everyday video. So I'll do my best Thursday for other names, and I'll take some votes and stuff on which tickers that I do look at maybe tomorrow's video. So that's where we stand. Hopefully everybody protected some profit. Hopefully people took some profit and were able to reload cheaper if they desired, and if not, sitting all cash and patiently waiting to see how this plays out. There were some long-term positions, very impressive holds from some of our members holding, CGC from $3. They were taking profit today, and some other names from just absurd levels that, very impressive that they've held this long. But they were taking some of the long-term positions off. That doesn't mean that we are topping out, but it does mean that we need to be cautious and see how the rest of this bounce ends up playing out. So thanks again. We'll see you soon. Hope you have a great night. And again, congrats to the Bulls. It's been a wonderful couple of days here. And now we take it one day at a time. Pre-market giving us some good information, because pre-market on CGC today gave us the first indication that profit taking was coming when the low of pre-market broke. See ya.